Blocked kicks, ball security, that was the theme of Week 3 in the NFL. Welcome into Game Day Recap. I'm Haley Sutton. You'll meet the crew in just a minute. But first, we got to start the show like we always do, taking a look at our NFL Sunday scores. We've heard you in the comments, Eagles fans. We got you covered here as we get the show started. Was there ever a doubt for Philly? They take down the Rams behind their big man, getting a big touchdown at the end of the game. How about the Vikings? Did you have the Vikings on your fantasy team? My goodness, Jake Browning had himself a bad day for sure. And the Jets. Oh, the Jets. They were so close to getting that first win under Aaron Glenn, but instead they are 0-3. This is Game Day Recap, so let's recap it with the fellas. Why don't we? We've got the two-time SEC champion, Damien Harris, our resident running back, joining us. We've also got our GM, our therapist. Last week he was our doctor as well. Carthon joining us.
And he was once a running back, too.
And he also was a running back. I
won the SEC once, but not Damien. But.
And, of course, we have our guy, Pete Prisco. You were a lineman?
I was.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Nasty little mean man, too.
We'll leave it right there.
I had so many comments, but we're too.
I had a couple
Emphasis
too.
on little.
Emphasis on little.
You know, actually, I can't even hold this one in. He probably had that black. You remember that black tape on it? Okay, those were the guys you knew couldn't touch the football. That had to be you, Pete Prisco.
Oh, wow.
Had to be.
Guys, let's continue the conversation here with the blocked kicks because, my goodness, there were so many of them. We're going to start with the Eagles. Of course, it's Jordan Davis, the big man, scooping and scoring and taking this one to the house. That would set the Eagles up for success to stay undefeated. Look at the form there. The entire team joining him in celebrations. And then we go over to Tampa Bay, New York Jets, excuse me. This kick was blocked, and the Jets thought that they were going to win the game. They're running it back. You got the quarterback on the sideline. In a second, you'll see Aaron Glenn celebrating. They are living. The only problem is here comes Chase McLaughlin there. He would kick the game-winning field goal
Use
there.
my language like you got me. Then after that, you see how much time on the clock, and you calm down and you try to win the game.
All right, so there was a lot going on there. That was, of course, Todd Bowles at the end of that, talking about that kick as the Bucs walk it off. My goodness. I want to start with the Bucs in this one, guys. Obviously, Baker Mayfield quietly continues to be a solid QB down there in Tampa. I saw a stat as well where since he joined the Bucs, he leads the league in touchdowns. He's second in total yards as well. So, Pete, when you look at what the Bucs are able to do, you have the block kick, the resiliency to go and lead that game-winning drive. How impressed were you with Baker Mayfield?
With 5 guys on the offensive line not playing in their normal spots. I mean, Baker Mayfield, and by the way, Mike Evans went out of that game. He doesn't have Chris Godwin. Baker Mayfield deserves all the credit he is due. And by the way, some of that credit will be coming soon in the case of a new deal, and he knows it very, very well. I think Baker Mayfield is playing himself into being one of the top echelon quarterbacks in this league, and he's a dude. The guys love him on that team, and it shows up week in and week out.
Not only is he a dude, but he's gritty. I mean, he's that type of quarterback that you want to go into battle with. And I saw a clip of him talking after the game, and he talked about this game was personal. Now, when you watch Baker Mayfield play, it looks like every game is personal for him. But, you know, he talked about it. The DC for the Jets was a guy that could have been Carolina. But all this to say, Baker Mayfield, when you look at the stats, when you look at the game-winning drives, things like that, yeah, the numbers show up. But Baker's got something in his chest. He's got something like that heart. It pumps. He is the life of this team right now, and you could see it with the mentality that he has, and you can tell that everybody follows his lead.
And to me, it's just the mark of a good team, like finding ways to win. This game should not have been close.
No.
You're 1 of 5 in the red zone. You have 14 penalties, but some kind of way you find a way to lose. As great as the play was with Will McDonald jumping over the line, blocking the kick, running it back, like Todd Bowles said, your eyes immediately go to, okay, there's a minute plus left. That's plenty of time for Baker. And Pete hit it. Mike Evans goes out in that game. Well, down that stretch, down that last drive, Emeka Egbuka, he stepped up, made big plays, even had a controversial call, no call that should have. I think it was a catch.
That was absolutely malpractice by the officiating.
Yes,
or I shouldn't say the officiating because it comes from upstairs. But whoever was supposed to chime in and say, hey, we should take a look at that, that was malpractice.
They didn't even care because Chase McLaughlin still made the kick and got it done. But again, it's the mark of a good football team that figures out a way to win football games. And Baker doesn't care about stats. He's not trying to lead the league in passing and touchdowns. He wants to lead the league in dubs, and so far he's up there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
ahead.
I was
Nope,
just going to say,
go ahead.
even playing off of Rand, I mean, when you talk about the sign of a good football team winning ugly games, I mean, the Bucs were 4 of 13 on third down. They had 14 penalties for 124 yards. How do you win that game? You got a leader at quarterback. You got a team that doesn't give up. You got a team that keeps fighting. So, again, if you can cut down on some of those procedural issues, Tampa Bay's a scary team with following the lead of Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, against the Jets, you get away with that. Next week against the Eagles, you're not getting away.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They have to play much cleaner.
Absolutely.
I will put a bow on this by saying that the Bucs, first team in NFL history with a game-winning score in the final minute in the fourth quarter in each of their first 3 games. So they are
Gritty.
certainly
There's your
Know how to
gritty.
win.
They're
They know
taking
how
it
to
down
win.
to the wire and they're figuring it out. But Pete, to your point, they're going to have to take on the Eagles next week, and it's going to be completely different. When you think about what Philly was able to do today, I mean, they were down 26 in the third quarter. Rand, what was the biggest thing that stood out to you about how the Eagles were able to win this game?
Well, the number one thing that comes out is the tale of 2 halves, right? The first half, they were down 19-7 at halftime. The Rams' offense had 115 yards rushing. And we talked about it a little bit earlier. The Rams matched Philly's physicality and said, hey, people think we're just going to throw the ball up and down the yard. No, we're going to play smash mouth with you. But then something happened. And it flipped, and you talk about the start of the second half. Well, Jalen Hurts, he was 10 of 12 for 31 yards and 2 touchdowns in the third quarter alone, and finished the second half 17 of 24 for 209 yards and 3 touchdowns. And then you talk about, again, the mark of a good football team, finding ways to win late, getting A.J. Brown involved.
Come on now.
Finally.
Come on.
Fantasy
Finally.
managers everywhere. We're like,
Finally,
yes!
you get A.J. Brown
I bet we won't see no more books on the sideline now.
Right.
checkbooks.
Yeah, exactly.
Checkbooks.
Exactly.
But again, it's another way. You talk about a good team. You lose Lane Johnson, and they struggled trying to figure out where they were going to be able to, how they're going to be able to protect him. And Jalen Hurts took some shots off of that right side. But then they settled in. I think Matt Pryor came in first. And then Fred Johnson came in and kind of settled it down. And then they were able to get on a hot streak. So another great team that found a way to win games. The Eagles team as a whole, where they were 3 for 3 in the red zone, and they held the Rams to 1 of 4 in the red zone. And we showed it earlier. Big man Jordan Davis getting the play, getting the touchdown. It's, again, a great way for a good team to win a football game.
That was an exclamation point to a great comeback. Rand, you know what I love the most about this game? And a lot of people might look at me like I'm crazy. Saquon Barkley. Now let's talk about this. Teams are starting to figure out Saquon Barkley is the heartbeat of this team. It's not Jalen Hurts. I'm here to tell you, if you shut down Saquon Barkley, you have a chance. Now, with that being said, you know what I saw a lot of from Saquon Barkley today, considering he had 18 carries for 46 yards?
Pass pro.
You know what I saw? Pass pro. But even more important than that, the support of Devontae Smith on that touchdown that he caught at the end of the game. All the way that he celebrates a tush push, like he just walked into the end zone. Like, not only is he the motor on the field, but from an emotional standpoint, from a leadership standpoint, like those are the type of things that you look for in championship teams. Those are the type of things that when you don't show up on the stat sheet, that's how you still contribute to a winning culture. So Saquon Barkley, obviously the Eagles as a whole, you showed championship pedigree today with the way that you were resilient and came back and won the game. But I got to give major love to Saquon Barkley because he is an absolute team player. He loves to just have success as a team. We can say that obviously he loves his stats and everything. He doesn't care about that. He just wants
He
to
should
win
start
a
caring about
football
it because he's averaging 3.3 per
I
rush.
was waiting on the running back.
I was gonna say.
You knew he was coming. That's why Ray kept smiling at me.
He's the heartbeat of that team, and there's something wrong when Saquon Barkley's averaging 3.3 per rush, and they're still playing at a high level.
So that's
or
what
at
I was
least
going to
finding
say,
a way to win
though.
games.
I mean, if the whole identity behind this Eagles team is just get it done by committee, right? It doesn't matter who's doing it as long as we're winning. You've got Chris Jones in your face talking mess to Jalen Hurts, and it doesn't matter because they're winning. If they are able to figure it out when these guys aren't popping, is it really that big of a deal?
Yes. Because he's got to average more than 3.3 per rush. If he averages 3.3 per rush for the entire season, how many games are they going to lose? They're probably going to lose 4, 5, 6, 7 games.
Well,
I'll say this.
Do they throw it well enough consistently? And he did in the second half, but do they throw it well enough consistently?
I'll say this. And coming off of the year that he had last year, Haley, this is a point of the season where you want to find other ways to get it done, where you don't have to lean on him to carry the ball or touch the ball over 400 times. They had a long season. capped off with a Super Bowl win, which typically equals shorter offseason. And so now you want him to come along. You got to find other ways to win. So once we get into November and December, now hopefully Saquon Barkley will be heating up and getting back into the form and where you can ride him throughout the playoffs and hopefully into another Super Bowl.
He had 345 carries last year.
It's too many.
That's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable, but okay. Is it too many to the point where he's not the same guy?
No, I mean, Pete.
Well, 3.3 per rush is
Please,
awful.
our resident running backs, please
I mean,
talk
I
to
love
our
Saquon
linemen
Barkley,
here.
but there's something at play here
Hold on.
more than just not having one guy on the offensive line.
Listen, if Saquon is averaging 3.3 yards a carry, guess what? You still got A.J. Brown, you still got Devontae Smith, you still got Dallas Goedert, and you still got Jalen Hurts. Clearly, they're good enough to get it done. They can come from behind, they can lead from ahead. Yeah, like they want to see more from Saquon, I'm sure, as far as yards per carry. But what I just talked about, what he brings to the team from an emotional standpoint, again, if those stats aren't there and you have a Super Bowl caliber team, you have that kind of talent around you, there's other ways to affect the game. Now, is Saquon Barkley going to average 3.3 yards a carry the rest of the season? Absolutely not. If he does, then y'all can just sit up here and call me a liar. But he is still impacting this team in more ways than just yards per carry.
The running back defenders are both at it.
No,
Because you're the running back hater.
3.3 per rush is a concern after 3 games. It's a concern.
And see, we shouldn't. And you're gonna hear me talk about it, but I was gonna say the stats are always skewed these first couple weeks. To me, the stats really start to matter after week 4. But Saquon can average 3.3 yards a carry right now because it's just the threat of Saquon Barkley. People still gonna come into the game saying we have to stop Saquon, which is gonna equal 8-man boxes, and now Jalen Hurts and those receivers have to find a way to get it done.
And that's what we've seen the first 3 weeks, like especially with LA, what Saquon did to them last year. I mean, he averaged almost 150 yards a game. He had 4 touchdowns against LA. Of course, they weren't going to let him run the ball today. But again, that's why it helps that he's got superstars around him, and they can just that's the advantage of having so much talent. You have an embarrassment of riches. Yeah, Saquon's averaging 3.3 right now, but we're getting A.J. Brown hot. Devontae Smith is still playing.
The first game he got hot.
Well, if one player don't show up, then guess what? You can depend on another.
That's a problem.
I got a stat that matters here. Jordan Davis returned that field goal or block field goal for 50-plus yards. He is now the heaviest player in NFL history to do so at 336 pounds. So let's put a bow on the conversation with the Eagles and give some love to Jordan Davis. We'll pivot over and talk about the Rams, though. Or the Chargers, excuse me, the other LA team there. 3 straight division wins to open the season. This one wasn't easy, guys. We saw the Broncos kind of give them fits there. It took a game-winning field goal to win it. Damien, when you watched the Chargers and the Broncos game today, what stood out to you about the win?
Well, what stood out for me is Justin Herbert. I mean, I know that he had the 1 interception, but he threw for 300 yards. He had a touchdown. And to me, he's playing like one of the most complete quarterbacks in the National Football League. You think about the fact that he lost Rashawn Slater. You think about the fact that Joe Alt didn't really play that well this game. You lose Najee Harris, so really you're handcuffed to not having all of your guys. You don't have your pick of the litter when it comes to your own. But Justin Herbert has just been consistent. He has delivered. He gets the ball to guys. I don't know what has happened with him and Quentin Johnston, but they have found a connection. I don't know if it's the confidence that he's instilled him, just leading him, telling him where to be at the right time, how he wants his route run. That's a connection that is going to grow and can be dangerous moving throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, first I just want to say sending prayers and blessings up for Najee Harris and the injury that he suffered. And you hate to see that happen, but I think you also left this game seeing the emergence of Amarion Hampton and knowing that this is the future for them in the backfield, and you expect, a Jim Harbaugh offense to get the ball rolling and get him running and going. As great as Justin Herbert has played this season, you don't want to live with him throwing the ball 47 times a game.
I agree.
And so, again, you got to be able to start spreading the ball around. But you hit it. Quentin Johnston is now stepping into becoming the receiver, the downfield threat that they had hoped he would be when they took him in the first round. And then Pete, kind of when we were all in the green room, just every time you look up, Ladd McConkey's making a play when the team needs you to make a play.
He was very complimentary of Ladd.
And it was one of those deals where it's not going to jump off the stat sheet, but he's extending drives. He's keeping drives rolling for him. And then the old man, Keenan Allen, just finds a way to
friend of the program, Keenan Allen,
maneuvers his way and just saucing people up at the top of routes and just being able to come back, hit those contested passes. This is a really good Chargers football team.
And you got to think, bringing Keenan Allen back, that had to do something for the development of Quentin Johnson as well.
Yeah, well, he's one of the best route runners who ever played in the league, so it can't hurt him. But to me, this is about their defense, though. And Herbert's been great, don't get me wrong. And we know they're going to run the ball because that's what Harbaugh wants to do. And you're right, Hampton was going to take that and run with it anyways. But their defense, and they gave up 20 points today. They were dominant for most of that game. There was a 4th and 2 play, and late in the half, and they got caught on it, and they scored a touchdown, and it kind of turned the tide a little bit. But then they settled back in. You look at Bo Nix's numbers, 153 yards passing. That means you're taking a the guy was a pretty good quarterback last year, and you're limiting what he does. The better and better. The big guys on the interior of that defense, they're heavy in the middle now. They never used to be. They're so much better at stopping the run and their ability to turn their pass rushers loose and turn different pass rushers loose. Minder's done a great job with that defense. He doesn't get enough due.
All right, got to hit our first break here on Game Day Recap, but still plenty to talk about as Sunday was very, very exciting in terms of some of those results. We're going to get into a little MVP conversation when you come back to Game Day Recap. A lot of big results that we'll get into. We're going to do things a little different here on Game Day Recap. We're talking the good, the bad, and the ugly. And look who it is, our boy Damien. Would we categorize this as good, bad, or ugly in your opinion, Damien?
That looked real good to me. It looked like a real life
That looks
cowboy.
really ugly. That looks really ugly.
Okay. Hater is a real ugly color. Look like Dame Dutton right there.
Okay, all right. So Dame's looking good, feeling good as we welcome you back to Game Day Recap. We're going to get into the good first, the good of what we saw today. And I want to start with what's been a real good feel-good story, I think, in Indianapolis. The Colts have surprised a lot of people. Shout out to Daniel Jones for kind of blocking out the noise and leading this team to victory. I will say it came against a Titans team that's still trying to find its identity. But Dame, when we look at what was good for the Colts, what do you think?
Well, I know we're going to give a lot of love and praise to Daniel Jones about how he's playing. But Jonathan Taylor is putting the league on notice that he is not going anywhere. I mean, 100 yards a day, 3 touchdowns. He's leading the league in yards and carries. I mean, listen, he went in and said, I want the football. I'm the best player on this football team. Give me the rock. And since they have done that, they've been nothing short of successful. And when you talk about Daniel Jones and the success that he's having, which we will get into, there's no better best friend to a quarterback, aside from offensive linemen, than a strong run game. And when you've got Jonathan Taylor, it's a no-brainer. It's easy. Hand the football off, let him do his job, then let Daniel Jones play off of that. And that's what we're seeing. It's complementary between the run game, the pass game. That is a big reason why this Colts offense is having so much success.
Efficiency and balance is what this team is. If you look at what they've done over 3 games, they've passed for over 228 yards. Over that passing every game, they're averaging 153 yards per game on the ground. That's balance, right? And that makes defenses play you honest. You can't try to tee off because you're understanding what they're trying to do or you're playing tendencies. And again, the part of this team that's not getting enough credit is this Colts defense. They're able to get after the quarterback up front, and then this secondary is opportunistic. You know, we see Cam Bynum and all his celebrations and his ability to, you know, and we talk about that. But, I mean, Kenny Moore is like making plays. He may have had to pick 6 early to get the team on the board. And when you can start a game with a pick 6 on the first drive, it makes the other team kind of like, what's going to happen here
Especially
now?
with a rookie quarterback, too.
And so they got after it. And then a guy I want to shout out, Tyquan Lewis. He had 2 sacks today, 3 TFLs, and as a team, they had 4 sacks and 8 TFLs, which means they forced the Titans' offense to play behind the chains a lot, which helps that secondary.
All right, I'm going to throw a little.
I've been watching you. I can't wait for you to hear what you have to
They say
say.
throw a turd in a punch bowl, but here's what: the teams they beat, they're 1-8.
That's it.
They're
I
1-8.
knew it was coming.
Who is on
One
your
was
schedule?
Miami, let's not forget, and we know how bad they are. And one was the Titans, and we know how bad they are. You won't say it, but I will. We know how bad they are. And they did beat the Broncos, and the Broncos, by the way, are now 1-2. So the verdict's still out, but kudos to them. And one of the things we got to give them credit for, and we talk about this, the offensive line. They made changes up front. Remember, Kelly left. He's now in Minnesota. Will Freeze left. He's now in Minnesota. And what do they have? They bring Bortolini in and Conclaves. And one's a center and one's a right guard. And the line is better. it's better than it's been. And that's why they can protect Daniel Jones. That's why Jonathan Taylor's doing what he can do. I give them a lot of credit. But we got to hold off just a little bit.
Well, hold on. What did we say that we're holding off on? We just talked. We're talking about what made them successful today.
You have them in the Super Bowl already. He's looking for some shrimp cocktail from St. Elmo's. That's what he's looking for.
All right.
The schedule does get a little bit dicey coming up. They've got the Rams next Sunday, and then Raiders, Cardinals, Chargers, Titans, Steelers. So it does get a little bit interesting there. But they have Daniel Jones, a guy who I think everybody pretty much counted out at the beginning of this when he beat out Anthony Richardson. But his first 3-0 start in his career, that's important, right? And he's the first Colts quarterback with a 100-plus passer rating in 3 straight games since Carson Wentz, who just tore up Jake Browning earlier in the day as well, too. So, Rand, when you look at what Daniel Jones is being able to do, the narratives and all of that, how has he, I guess, changed people's perspective of how we have to talk about him?
Well, I think he's making everyone take a step back and really take note of what was going on in New York. And we talked about it last week. This team is the best team he's ever been on. And he is not the focal point of the team. And sometimes, no matter where you take these quarterbacks, where you take them number 1, number 51, or number 251, all these quarterbacks, they need good players around them. And so now I hope it makes the league realize that you have to give these quarterbacks chances to mature and develop, because we put so much pressure on this position, and particularly these young guys that are coming from these systems that are not necessarily pro-friendly. And so now we've seen it year after year now, Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield and Geno Smith, and now through 3 games.
That's what I was going to say.
Through 3 games.
You said we can't have any stats that matter until week 4. Now we're 3 games in.
What I will say is this, and saying it tongue in cheek, I agree with Pete. We can't crown them just yet. However, you can only beat who's on your schedule. You're not in control of what they've done before you. You just know when 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, whatever the time frame of the game hits, you can only play the people that are across from you, whether they're injured or whatever the case may be. And you just got to do what you got to do. And we're just pointing out that this team is playing efficient, complementary football.
I will say this. If Daniel Jones plays this way, the rest of the way, the Colts will win the division. Period.
I mean, they got a strong lead right now.
Yeah, well, they only have a 1-game lead.
Oh, I didn't mean to say anything negative about Jacksonville.
Well, I'm just saying, they got a 1-game lead. That's the reality of it.
Listen, I would have backed up Rand for a second, because, Pete, you're going down a road that we don't even really want to go down. Outside of being surrounded by good players, you got to be in a good organization. We can all sit here and say the New York Giants, that's not the best organization.
Or the Colts,
football.
They haven't won the division since Andrew Luck was there. Are they a good team? Are they a good organization?
They're better than the Giants are right now.
But they haven't won the division since Andrew Luck was there. Think about it.
Well, listen, I know this. Daniel Jones is doing much better in Indianapolis than he was doing in the New York Giants. He's got better players around him. It seems like he's in a better system. It's a better all-around sense of togetherness from this team than what he saw in New York.
So we're not ready to crown Daniel Jones MVP just yet.
No, but he is leading
but we
the
will
league
wait
in
and see.
QBR.
Yes, and we will. Big test, like I mentioned, they're taking on the Rams next week, so that'll be a good test as well. Another quarterback who kind of surprised everybody was Marcus Mariota today. He trucked his head coach en route to picking up a big win. I hope Dan Quinn is okay there. But when we think about Washington, guys, kind of got a little jump scary. There's the play right there where Mariota goes right into Dan Quinn.
I'm not going to lie, the way Dan Quinn's head snapped back, he should have been in the blue tent.
Falcons Dan Quinn would have got out of the way of that, by the way.
Hey, but how gritty does he look as your head coach? Got the blood coming down his face.
In the post-game press conference, he's sitting in the post-game, and, he's giving his opening statement there, and the first question, of course, he's asked is, like, how are you feeling? And he's like, it's just part of the game. Like, come on, Dan.
I love it.
Yeah. But listen, if you're the Commanders with no Jaden Daniels, 400 yards of offense, you got to be excited, and you have to know, again, they had something cooking last year. They made it all the way to the to the NFC Championship. Well, if you can put up 400 yards with Marcus Mariota, your offense is in pretty good shape. I mean, Terry McLaurin played well. You got a lot of good efforts from a lot of guys. Most important thing about Marcus Mariota, more so than completions, touchdowns, anything, 0 interceptions.
I think the big thing that we don't talk about enough, and not saying that Marcus Mariota is Jaden Daniels, but similar skill set.
Yes.
And that being said, that doesn't alter too much how Cliff Kingsbury can call a football game, right? And I know, Pete, just bear with me, another running back stat. They had 201 yards rushing today.
That's a team stat.
But I'll build with you here because Washington 5.69 rush yards per attempt. That's first in the NFL. So I got you.
Yeah, I mean, they're running the ball. I'm okay with running the ball. I'm okay. I just, you let a guy run it for 4 years.
Why?
Because that's the reality of it. But, no, look, Kyle Long said last week, and he played with Marcus Mariota, said there's not going to be much of a drop-off for a couple games, at least, from Jaden Daniels. I mean, he was right. I didn't believe him. Look, Marcus Mariota can go in for a game or two and handle things. That's good to have. He's not Jaden Daniels. Nobody will ever try and convince me that he's even in that category. So it's a good step, and the Raiders are bad on defense. Let's be real. They're not a very good defensive team, and they took advantage of it.
What do you think about, I guess, going forward here? Because they were so impressive last year, right? And they made it all the way to the NFC Championship game. Jaden Daniels kind of backed up there. How far can this team go based on the potential you've seen so far?
Well, they got to learn how to go on the road and beat a good team, a good defense like the Green Bay. They did nothing. I mean, they got handled in that game. They have to go out and learn how to win those games. And if they can't, look, once Daniels comes back, the whole thing is open again. They're a different team.
All right. Well, speaking of Green Bay, that is where we are headed next. Got to hit a break here on Game Day Recap. Not the result I think a lot of people were expecting here. The Packers picking up their first L to the Browns. We'll hear from Micah Parsons after the break. Surprising result between the Packers and the Browns. Take you to the 27 seconds left in the fourth quarter. We're tied at 10. Brandon McManus tries from 43, but it's blocked. The Browns jump on it. And how about that? Taking a look at it. Slow motion. It is no good. So same score, 2 seconds left. Andre Schmidt, 55 yards out. Remember week 1, he smoked a couple. This one is good. And the Browns stun the Packers 13-10 the final. Joe Flacco fired up. Micah Parsons, not so much. Take a listen.
This is all part of adversity. Undefeated seasons, like, they're hard. Let's be real. And sometimes, just like today, that's just the reality of it. Like, it happens to the best teams. You know what I mean? Even the best Super Bowl champs make mistakes, and they pay for it early. You know what I mean? You go back to the history of the champions and who they played and games they should have won. It's just part of being natural. It's that competitive. It's that hard to win. Like, it's hard as hell to win football games. So when you win a football game, it's a celebration. But when you lose, it sucks.
I guess that makes sense. He probably feels better losing this than losing the game that the Cowboys did that we'll talk about in a minute, but I digress. We showed you the good on Sunday, so now we're pivoting to the bad, guys. And when we talk about the Packers, Pete, you've loved this team. This is your Super Bowl representation for the NFC. In your opinion, what went wrong for them today?
The offense. The offense was terrible. And they got brutalized. The quarterback got brutalized up front. The offensive line was awful. He got sacked 5 times. He got hit many more times. And his 2 longest completions were, he had the one shot down the field to Golden, but he had a dink that, Jacobs turned into a long play. Then they don't throw the ball down the field. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that they're getting pressure up front. And if they can't protect Jordan Love, he's not going to be able to make those throws down the field. They got to be better on the offensive line, or else it's going to be a season-long problem.
Yeah, I think Pete's right. It definitely was the offense that lost them this game. But as I'm looking at the stats, they were 10 for 18 on third down compared to Cleveland's 4 of 13. They controlled time of possession. They had the ball for 34 minutes to Cleveland's 25 minutes. So what does that tell me? There's leaks and breakdowns in your offensive game plan. Yes, you can convert on third down, but if you can't turn it into points, that doesn't really matter. You talk about Jordan Love getting sacked as many times as he did. Well, let's talk about the run game. Josh Jacobs had 16 carries for 30 yards, average of 1.9 a carry, and this is one of the best backs in the league. So this was a huge letdown from the offense, but we have to give a lot of credit to the Browns because with everything that I just said, them being on the flip side of that, they found a way to win. And I want to give a special shout out to Quinshon Judkins because he has just injected himself into this offense, and he looks like he's already been in the league for some time. I remember I said around draft time, I think Quinshon Judkins may be more ready for the NFL style of play than Travion Henderson. And what we've seen so far between the 2 backs in the season, one game for Quinshon Judkins looks a lot better than what Travion Henderson has been able to put out so far.
I'll say this, and this may be outlandish to some until you really look deep into it. I don't think Green Bay's played a defense like Cleveland's defense.
No.
I don't think they've played a defense that is good schematically and has the level of talent. Looking at it, coming into this week, Cleveland's defense ranked first in total yards allowed per game, rushing yards per game, rushing yards per attempt, first down efficiency, and explosives allowed. You talked about Green Bay's offense and how stagnant they were. They gave up, Green Bay's offense only had 231 total yards, 81 yards on the ground. They averaged 2.6 yards a carry. They were 11 of 21 on first down efficiency, and that's getting 4 yards or more on first down. And then they only had 5 explosives, and they had been living off of explosives in those earlier 2 games. So I don't think Green Bay had played a defense quite as good as this Cleveland Browns defense and the show.
All right, well, they will play the Cowboys next week. I'm sure there will be a lot of fireworks in that one. I do want to talk about the Texans, though, really quick, guys. 0-3. The last time that happened was 2020, and they fired their head coach after that. So, Ran, when you think about what's going wrong for C.J. Stroud and the Texans, is this life support at this point for the season, or how are you feeling?
Yeah, this offense is really struggling. And for this defense to be playing as well as it is, I think they've given up 2 touchdowns in each of the 3 games this year, and they've held opponents to 20 points or less. And this offense is supposed to be able to score at least 21 points to close out these games, and they haven't been able to do that. And so I really think that they're struggling on offense right now.
Look, again, it goes back to what we just talked about with the Packers. If you can't protect your quarterback and you can't run the ball consistently, you're not going to win. Their offensive line, they put a lot of time and effort and energy to upgrading it, and it's worse. They're not any better up front. If you can't block, C.J. Stroud's eyes are coming down. He's missing throws. We talk about this. They don't have anybody that can really stretch vertically other than Nico Collins. They have problems. This is not, and their schedule is brutal.
So that's where I was going next. We got about 30 seconds here, Dame. Titans, Ravens, Seahawks, 49ers, Broncos is the upcoming schedule. Level of concern for the Texans?
I'd put it at about a 7 right now, just because of what we're talking about and the lack of efficiency on offense, the lack of playmakers. I mean, Nick Chubb, I hate to say this because I have so much respect for Nick Chubb. He's a shell of his former self, and he's your leading carrier right now. So your run game's not going very well. Nico Collins is your only threat at the receiver position. What is C.J. Stroud supposed to do? I know we talked a lot about his sophomore slump, and now we're still waiting to see him get over that. But when you're this depleted with resources around you, then what is the guy supposed to do?
It is certainly going to be tough, but I tell you what, it's going to get a little bit uglier after the break because we've seen the good, we've seen the bad, and there is still a lot worse that we saw today. Michael Penix, what a tough day out. He makes the Panthers look like a Super Bowl team, and the Bengals, my goodness, we'll break it down when you come back to Game Day Recap. Well, did you catch Kirk Cousins getting his first action of 2025? It was crisis mode in Charlotte for ATL. Michael Penix Jr. benched after putting up a big old goose egg against the Panthers. 2 interceptions, including a pick six. His second straight week, he was held under 200 passing yards. Falcons head coach Raheem Morris said after the game the change was because of the score, but he was asked about Cousins potentially being QB1. Let's just say he was short and sweet.
Why the decision to put Kirk in?
The game was out of hand. You know, you move on, keep them out of harm's way, keep our guys out of harm's way, take a couple players out. We had to take some of those wideouts out, we had to get the young back in, get all those things going. The game's out of hand, they got us.
Will you give Kirk a chance to compete for the job this week?
No.
Told you it was short and sweet right there. No, absolutely not. So let's start right there. I mean, Rand, you've got your head in your hands there. When you look at, I guess, the gamble that they took on Michael Penix, and again, it's still week 3. There's still time to improve. But, I mean, the turnovers, the lack of passing production here, and the head coach vehemently saying no Kirk Cousins. Are you concerned about the Falcons at all?
Yeah, because this quarterback's got to play better. He's got to play better, and he's got to be the one to lead this offense. And we've talked about it, you know, week 1, week 2, about the weapons and the playmakers that he has on this offense. You have one of the better backs. You have one of the better young receivers. You have an athletic tight end that could be a mismatch when he is on. And the offensive line is a fairly solid offensive line that's in front of him. He has to be better. I think last year, we don't talk about it enough, but last year, we talked glowingly about how he ended the season, but he still only completed 58% of his passes, and he's right at that same number so far through 3 games this year. So he has to be better in order for this team to take the next step.
And I'm going to tell you guys a stat, and this sums it all up. The Falcons are 0-4 when Penix starts and their opponents score more than 7 points.
And I'll do you one better. They're 1-4 in his last 5 games started.
And it's just We're trying to figure out why, right? Because like you said, there's a plethora. You've got riches when it comes to resources. You've got what you need. And to go on the road and lose to a Carolina team by 30 points when their offense only scored 2 touchdowns, that is a huge, huge problem. Whether it's turning the ball over, whether it's keeping the ball on your side of the ball with the offense, just there's a lot of problems going on in Atlanta, and they need to figure them out fast. But it starts with Michael Penix.
Well, and the other part of that is you would think in a game like this where he played so poorly that he was getting just brutalized up front. And you look at and we watched the game and I didn't see it, and I go look at the stats. There were only 2 quarterback hits on him, and there wasn't a sack. So it's just he's not playing very well. This goes back to last week. He wasn't good in Minnesota either. And so I think there's a problem there. And you mentioned the riches. They talk about Drake London, Robinson in the backfield, Pitts.
We thought Michael Penix could unlock Kyle Pitts this year.
Yeah, well, I don't think anybody's unlocking Kyle Pitts. That's part of the problem. But Michael Penix, right now, there's major concern. And part of the problem is for all of us. We were all guilty of it. Yeah. We rushed him. We said.
Are you speaking French when you say we?
Yeah, we. I'm trying to figure out who's we.
You thought he was a legitimate NFL starting quarterback after a year.
I took that as media in general. I didn't take it personally because I know I didn't.
I don't speak French.
Yeah, I didn't say none of that.
You guys didn't think you went into the season thinking he was a legitimate NFL starting quarterback.
Well, I thought he was a starter for the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't that high on him coming out.
Yeah, he was a starter for his team. I mean, there's 32 of those.
I wasn't as high as some of those other guys either, but I was high on Will Levis, by the way. I'll give you that.
I was going to say, I was going to hold you to that.
I was. But the bottom line is he's not playing very well, and that's a big concern if you're the Falcons. And as far as Kirk Cousins, there's bad blood between him and that organization going back to what he said in the offseason. Remember, he kind of threw him under the bus and said, I was hurt. They didn't put me on the report. Teams hate that. You know that. Players calling him out. So there's bad blood there. That's why they held on to him. They could have got rid of him, done him a favor. They held on to him. So you think he's playing? No chance.
Well, I did want to ask you because, I know you spent a lot of time around this game, especially at the national level. And for a guy like Kirk Cousins who has played for so long, made so much money, not to say that he's earned the right to get an opportunity, but if you're a veteran like him, after seeing the performances of Michael Penix, and then your head coach says, absolutely not, I will not give this guy a shot. How do you think Kirk Cousins received that?
Well, he didn't receive it very well, but what's he going to do? He's part of the problem. This problem is in large part because and you know what? He can go rolling his money and have plenty of good time in that.
I was going to say, or he could give some of it back, and then maybe we can make a better team that way.
Don't get that started.
No, nobody's giving any money back. But here's where it becomes a problem, and you guys can attest to this because you played. If guys in that locker room start looking around saying we should be playing Kirk and not Michael Penix, then you got a problem.
But see, on the flip side of that, how much of a voice will these same players have? Because I'm sure last year they were saying we should play Penix, and it's the back and forth. Here's what it is: you got to live and die with Michael Penix. Right? You took him in the top 10 in the draft for a reason, even after you signed Kirk Cousins. When you signed Kirk Cousins, you paid him that money. Then you take Michael Penix in the top 10. You created this quote-unquote mess because now you knew at any moment Kirk Cousins played bad, the Falcons fan base and everyone else around is going to want to see Penix. Now you're seeing Penix, and now you have no choice but to live with however he plays, whether it's good
You're
or bad.
pot committed. You're in. You're all in on Michael Penix no matter what happens. Right now, he's the future of the Atlanta Falcons. He has to play out the season to find out what he is. If he stinks this season like he did today, then you have major questions going forward after the season.
Yeah, I think, too, perspective is always really good. I think a lot of times we get so in on these quarterbacks. We have to remember this is his first year as the starter there. I know he got the end of last year, but a lot to consider there when it is his first year. Let's talk about my Cowboys, guys, because what an embarrassment that game was as they took on the Bears. And it just seems like the more they show the shot of Jerry Jones in the box, and every time Dak is getting sacked or every time the defense is getting run on, all you can think about is, man, we got rid of Micah Parsons for this.
He wouldn't have been saving this team, by the way.
I know, but I feel like, and I'm going to put me in a fan position for a minute, I feel like at the very least I would feel better knowing that we're putting our best foot forward, right? I want
to back that because whenever you talk to Keyshawn Nixon from the Green Bay Packers, what did he say? We got Micah Parsons. We're going to be fine. So if you're a defensive player for the Cowboys and you lose Micah Parsons, then you're all of a sudden like, oh, wait a minute.
And it wasn't just Micah. I mean, it wasn't just Micah missing too, right? You had the injury to Trey, your bestie Dono, who you love back there in the secondary. It's just not working for Dallas. And I think my question here is when you look at what the Bears were able to do against Dallas, it's another week where the week before it was Russell Wilson looking like an MVP. This week it's Caleb. How concerned should I be, Pete, when I look at this team? Because I felt a little optimistic week one. But what's going on with my team?
Do they pour cement in the secondary before the game or something? They don't move. They're so slow. There's guys wide open. It's amazing to me when I watch them play.
Look at this.
I mean, this is 2 weeks in a row they've been carved to shreds. Now, one of those is a flea flicker, so you got to take that for what it's worth. They caught him off guard, but they made Caleb Williams look good today, really good, and that's sometimes hard to do. So Dallas's defense, look, Micah Parsons, okay, he brings an edge to it. He brings talent. He's a great player. He isn't fixing that on the back end. That's a disaster back there.
Well, it's all tied together, the front end and the back end.
Yeah, but those guys can't cover anybody.
But if the ball's coming out quick,
and
they're opportunistic secondary, being able to jump passes. But now if the quarterback's just back there patting the ball because he's got a lot of time to throw, you got to cover for longer. So then you get exposed for your lack of speed and your cement boots.
No, I get it, but they're bad back there.
Yeah, well, they are. But again, to Rand's point, you go in a game plan as an offense. You know this. If you're going against Micah Parsons, what's the key to the game for the quarterback? Get the ball out of your hands as quick as possible. You can only hope to slow him down. You're not going to be able to block him. You're not going to be able to stop him. Get the ball out of your hands. And that's what has made Dallas's secondary look better than they actually are over the recent years because quarterbacks play with that fear of Micah Parsons.
They are missing Bland too, by the way. That's a big hit.
Missing Bland.
And I think
Trey was hurt. Go ahead.
No, and I'm a point that Damien made earlier today when we were all watching the game. Like as opportunistic as Trayvon Diggs has been in terms of creating takeaways, he's given up a ton of yards as well. But that speaks to what has been in front of him in the pass rush. And as crazy as we're talking about the Dallas Cowboys right now, they still had more yards than the Bears did today. But it was the 4 turnovers that they had on offense that really put them behind the 8 ball in this game. And Pete talked about it, the cement shoes and, the secondary not be. They give up a ton of explosives. And those explosives really flip the field. And so they've given up coming into this game. They had given up 10 explosives in 2 games. And then you go to whatever they did today, which were a ton of explosives, whether it was flea flickers or just big runs or Caleb scrambling, finding guys over the middle. There were even more explosives today. They have to find a way to limit those explosives. You go get Clowney. You have Donovan Ezeraku. You bring back Dante Fowler. They're trying to find guys that are going to be able to get to the quarterback. They just haven't been able to find them.
I digress. Real quick, what about the offense? Because when we talk, I mean, that was supposed to be the bright spot, right?
Well,
and then you had Dak.
Once Lamb went down, it changes who you are. But Dak actually did some really good stuff today with limited cast around him. I mean, that's tough to do. He played pretty good football.
I would say the same about Javonte Williams. I mean, I know he had the fumble, but
did.
I mean, this guy runs hard.
He does run hard.
And it's almost like he's gotten a second life after signing with the Cowboys. And if he can continue to play at the level that he's playing at, showing that toughness, like that can be a tone setter for this offense and show people like we're not just a passing team. We're not just dropping back 4 and looking for 3 or 88. We can run the football. We can line it up and call it and methodically work our way down the field as opposed to Dak always dropping back, looking for a crosser from CD, looking from a comeback from George Pickens on the outside. I mean, when I look at this Cowboys offense, I feel like they're designed for the big play. They're not a team or an offense that is built to go from 20 to 20 and slowly, meticulously be able to beat you and work their way down the field.
But they're going to take the field every week knowing that they got to score 30 points to even have a chance now with the way that defense is playing.
Can we send an IV over to Jake Ferguson?
My boy was tired. I tell you what, he put my fantasy team on his back. I can't wait to see how many points he had.
He looked exhausted.
He did at every moment. Real quick, temperature check on the Bears, guys, because I know that felt like the sky was kind of falling a little bit. Definitely a confidence boost, though, I would say, for Caleb and this team.
Yeah, definitely a confidence boost. I mean, for not only Caleb Williams, but for Ben Johnson as well. I mean, when you look at how he handled his presser after last week talking about Detroit. I mean, you could tell he was frustrated. You could tell he was not happy with the play of his team. And then even doubling down on some of those comments where he talked about, you know, our practice habits aren't good, our players aren't doing this. He looked at himself in the mirror. He's starting to take a little bit more accountability. Instead of saying the players, he's starting to say we. He's starting to build some confidence in himself, build confidence in his quarterback that he can handle the system that he's putting in front of him. So it's definitely a confidence booster for the Bears. But we do have to keep in mind they just played the Cowboys. So I'm going to give this about a 6 on a confidence boost. Because, again, not great comp.
He emptied the bag today, though. Yep. We got back to being Ben Johnson.
Against the Cowboys.
Two reverses, one late in the game, which he really probably didn't need to call. But he did empty the bag. Kudos to him.
And I do want to say, Luther Burden is finally stepping onto the scene and being the guy that we thought he was going to be coming out of Missouri, because we all thought he was going to be a first-round pick. Well, let me not speak French.
A lot of people, we don't speak French
around here. A lot of people thought that Luther Burden was a first-round talent, and there were some things.
No, there were things said.
There were things said about him.
That were true.
Yeah, true, untrue. I'm not really sure. I wasn't there. But at the end of the day, once he got to the league, he sees his opportunity, and if he can continue to be a weapon for Caleb for Caleb Williams, this can be a dangerous offense with the game plan that Ben Johnson puts in front of him.
Memo to Luther. You haven't arrived. You had a good game. Keep doing what you're doing, because there's, that's what Luther does. Luther Burden does that. He thinks he arrived, and you already had the team calling him out in the preseason for not doing the work that he needed to do.
So what would your pep talk be to Jake Browning and the Bengals after they just put up the franchise's worst loss ever?
One game, Jake. It's only one game. You were 4-3 last time you were a starter. It's only one game. And deep down, I'd be telling myself, I know better than that, though, Jake. I hate to tell you that, buddy. I mean, Jake Browning's not very good. He just isn't. Let's be real. He's a backup quarterback. This one was hard to. I mean, 19 of 27, 140 yards. He did have a touchdown, but the 2 interceptions. There were 5 turnovers total for this Bengals team. I mean, the Vikings defense was so incredible in this game, and I don't even know how much time we'll get to talk about it, but I feel bad for Chase and Higgins.
Let me just say this, because when you was asking him about what pep talk, a chant came to my mind.
Okay, give it to us.
Run the football. Run the football. 53 yards rushing today, 48 yards rushing in week 2, 46 yards rushing in week 1. There are 16 individual rushers in this league that have more yards than the Cincinnati Bengals team combined. I don't care who your quarterback is, whether it's Brett Rippon, whether it's Jake Browning, the Cincinnati Bengals have to find a way to establish a run game to help either one of these quarterbacks and take some of the pressure off of them.
And can I say something? I know that this is a National Football League, and I know Jake Browning has earned his way there, and there is an expectation, but he's been thrown in the fire. This Cincinnati Bengals team, they are built to have one guy at quarterback right now, and that is Joe Burrow.
I'm going to push back just a teeny bit here, only because with what we've seen out of Joe Burrow's injury status for, 3 years now, this is not an unfamiliar situation for Jake Browning to be in. Do you know what I mean? And so I get what you're saying. He's a backup.
Higgins and Chase, Let's not forget about that. And he's got a good back, and Chase Brown, they can't run the ball.
You just sat here and said he's not a good quarterback, so it doesn't matter if you got Jamar Chase, you got Randy Moss.
I'm not making excuses for you. You're just proving my point to me. He's got Chase and Higgins, and he still isn't very good.
Like I said, if you can't get him the ball, it doesn't matter who you got out.
I mean, I feel bad for Chase and Higgins, although they did get paid, so you know when you're right. You got paid.
Yeah, I mean I'm gonna save that comment. And that wasn't even a Pete Prisco comment, but I'm gonna save it.
All right, so not feeling good about Jake Browning. I wonder how we're feeling about Carson Wentz. This is his 6th different team in the last 6 years, and yet he, like I said, he really didn't have to go out there and do much because the defense took care of business. But Rand, when you evaluate Carson Wentz and you think about the situation with J.J. McCarthy as well, how much more comfortable do you think Kevin O'Connell feels like with his quarterback situation?
I mean, it's a one-game sample, right? But I think now, having called a game for Carson Wentz, I think Kevin O'Connell coming into next week will have a better understanding of what he can and can't do with Carson Wentz. But as well as he did today, just in terms of managing it, he didn't have to do anything spectacular because of the defense. I know we want to talk about Carson Wentz, but this is Brian Flores' dream.
Yeah.
To be able to have a quarterback that he can heat up, bring these multiple looks, these multiple disguises, these multiple blitzes, and everything that he likes to do up front with. Because even if it was Joe Burrow, Flores is going to find a way to heat him up. And now you get Jake Browning and an offensive front that couldn't block them. good night.
Yeah, kiss it goodbye.
Yeah, special day for Isaiah Rodgers as well. We're going to talk about him later in the show. But, yeah, that defense certainly got after it. So tough sledding there for the Bengals and Jake Browning. But we're going to hit another break here on Game Day Recap. Still plenty to talk about, though, when you come back. As we continue our conversation, some big injuries happening in Week 3. We'll talk about the ones that will impact your team the most next. Got some injuries to bring you up to speed on here on Game Day Recap. A whole lot of do not returns here. Let's start at the top with CeeDee Lamb, had that ankle injury. I will say our Garrett Padell just tweeted that CeeDee Lamb said, quote, he could for sure absolutely play through that ankle injury in Week 4 against the Green Bay Packers. So something to keep in mind there. Meanwhile, Nick Bosa, a knee injury. We've got some video of him giving a thumbs down. So things not feeling good there. The Bucs with Mike Evans dealing with a hamstring injury. He's going to have an MRI on Monday. And the Eagles offensive tackle Lane Johnson, a neck injury. Looks like it's a stinger. Happened during the tush push. So some concerns there, but looks like he's going to be okay to go against the Bucs next week. Let's talk about some of these injuries with the guys. We've got Damien Harris, Carthon and Pete Prisco. I want to start with Lane Johnson and that tush push, guys. Ironic that it's been in the headlines, and here we go. One of the big pieces of this team gets injured, Pete.
Well, you know, it's interesting because we were talking to Nick Sirianni at the Combine about the tush push, and he said none of our guys have ever been hurt on the tush push, even though the league keeps pushing to get it eliminated. Well, now they have their best offensive lineman hurt, and how did he get hurt? On the tush push. This is a neck injury. You never, ever, ever want to be messing around with a neck injury. That's concerning to me. They're a different team when Lane Johnson isn't on the field. There's data and stats to back it up. We know he's the best right tackle in football, but there's data and stats that back up that their offense changes when he's not there. So this is definitely, you look at these numbers, it's incredible how different they are without him in the lineup. So that's a damning blow. If it's a serious injury, they're in trouble on that offensive line because he's their best offensive line.
Yeah, they absolutely are. And even more so, I mean, what do you think the Buffalo Bills are going to do, a team that tried to ban the tush push in the offseason? I mean, one of your own players got hurt, so you want to talk about how it's not safe or how it is safe for players? Well, look at your own. Green Bay Packers, the same thing. So there's going to be some repercussions of this. I mean, obviously this is uncontrollable. It's unfortunate for Lane Johnson, but there will be more talks about this. But just to talk about what he means to this offense, not only is he great at protecting Jalen Hurts, he's an incredible run blocker, and he's one of Saquon Barkley's best friends. So when you want to talk about this team without Lane Johnson, not only are you behind the 8 ball as far as pass protection, but now all of a sudden that right side that you know you can get outside, or you know that he's going to kick his guy out and Saquon is going to find a hole, well, then you get a little unsure of that. And then, hopefully he doesn't drop below 3.3 yards per carry, because if so, I don't know what Pete Prisco is going to do.
It might go down to 3.1 without him.
Here's what I'll say about, because I'm not talking about the tush push. I'm tired of talking about the tush push.
All right, no tush for Rand, that's fine.
But the thing with Lane Johnson, we talked about what he is. He is the best right tackle in football. I think we all know that. But he is the tone setter of this offense. The offense goes as he goes. When it's time for somebody to step in and give those encouraging words, it typically comes from him in that huddle. And I think they all feed off of him. And you talk about the neck injury. That's very serious. And when he had to come out of the game, you knew instantly by looking at his body language on the field, he wasn't coming back into the game. No matter what they said, he was questionable to return. His body language said he was out. And then that plugs in Matt Pryor, who struggled mightily out the gate when he was in there. And that allowed all that pressure to come off that side and for Jalen Hurts to take those shots. But here's the other part to the O-line that it creates now. It puts the pressure on the other 4, because no matter who's in at right tackle now, you have to slide protection over there, which is now going to create a bunch of one-on-one opportunities for defenders on the other side, those other 4, and now they're going to have to step their game up and hold up. So we'll see how that takes.
Can I say I'm very surprised they admitted that he got hurt on the tush push, because they've been preaching that for so long. Even though by the way, the offensive linemen don't like that tush push play at all. So maybe that's why he said that.
I was going to ask you, when you talked to Sirianni, did you actually believe him when he said that none of his players had ever gotten hurt by it?
Well, nothing that would. I mean, they might have gotten.
Obviously, nothing that would show up on a report, nothing that would cause a player to leave the game. But I know for a fact that to say that nobody has ever been hurt or had some type of injury from that play, I don't believe it.
Well, here's what we know. This injury happening on the tush push is going to dominate the headlines tomorrow. It's going to dominate the early talks in those league meetings that are coming up in October. So we'll be right back down this path again to see if this vote gets pushed to get this play out.
I can say I absolutely hate the play, but I also respect the play because they've made it theirs and they've made it work.
Well, I just respect it from the standpoint of now former running backs. There's nothing wrong with running a play and the defense knowing what you're going to run. We're telling you what the play is. We're still going to run. We're going to see if your 11 guys are better than our 11 guys. I don't have a problem with the play at all. But again, if it is a concern for player safety, then that's something that's got to be looked at.
Let's talk about Nick Bosa. Just the 49ers cannot catch a break, it seems, these last couple of years with injuries. A knee injury. It sounds like Kyle Shanahan is saying that it doesn't appear to be an ACL injury. They haven't ruled it out, though. There's some concern because of how he feels. I know that we have a video as well kind of showing him giving a thumbs down in terms of how he's feeling. Here's that video there. Maybe not so good. So, Damien, when you think about what this team is already dealing with, and we're going to talk about Mac Jones as well with a knee injury, too, but all of the injuries stacking up. They're still at the top of the division, but it just feels like it cannot continue like this.
Well, it's kind of like when we talk about teams that lose early in the season and their margin for error gets a lot slimmer as the season goes on. Well, when you talk about from a health perspective, you just can't afford to lose guys like this, and in particular, Nick Bosa, because I know you got Fred Warner. I know you got other guys that play well for this defense. You don't go without Nick Bosa. You don't go without the consistent pressure that he brings to the quarterback's lap. You don't go without the run presence that he has. He's a leader on this team, maybe not vocal because we know he's a quiet guy, but he's similar to Micah Parsons. When he steps on the field, all the guys play better around him because they look at this guy as in, this is our fearless leader. We have to rise our level of play to match his. That way we can be a complete defense and not be so one-dimensional as far as using just one player. But losing a guy like Nick Bosa, it's just not something that you want to see, especially if you're an injury-riddled team like the San Francisco 49ers.
Here's the other piece, and I'll keep it light. This is a very young defensive front. They were really young coming into the year. I think they drafted three guys at the position to kind of shore up, to find other pieces outside of Nick Bosa because they move him around from left to right to get him going, create matchups for him. And now not having him is now going to force this young group to really have to mature and grow up really fast. But if there's one person who I believe in that can get these guys to step up, and that's their defensive line coach, Chris Kasarik, who is one of the best in the game. So now his young pups are going to have to step up and become the big dog.
Even Rob Saleh as well, to your point.
But here's the thing. When you're a star-built team with heavy contracts on the stars, you have to hope like hell every star stays on the field. Right now, if you look at it right now, who's not on the field? Brock Purdy's not on the field. George Kittle's not on the field. Nick Bosa's not on the field. Ayuk's not on the field. I mean, but I mean, those are stars. And when you take them out of the equation, you don't have all that cash around to have the good depth that you naturally need to kind of supplement it, and that's when your team starts falling apart. So they've been dealing with this for the last 2 years. They're not the 49ers because of the injuries and because they're very top-heavy.
But I guess what does that say then about this Niners team? And I will say that Mac Jones said that he re-aggravated an injury, a PCL injury that he was dealing with in training camp. It's good, though. It sounds like Brock Purdy's going to come back potentially in Week 4. But, Pete, to that point, top of the division, they're undefeated. Going to get their quarterback back. Does it give you maybe a little bit of confidence? It sounds like things are trying to trend in the right direction.
If they get their guys back, I picked them to win the division before the season because I believe in stars. I think you have to have stars to win, and they do, provided they're on the field. But even if these injuries aren't season-ending, and they're not, Kittle's going to be back, Purdy's going to be back. We don't know what Bosa's injury is. Those guys will be back, but they're still, to me, they're still the team to beat in the division. I know the Rams are very good, and Seattle's playing good. Arizona pushed them to the limit today. So it's a tough division to win. I still think those stars matter, and that's why I think the 49ers will win it.
What do you think about the Cardinals?
The Cardinals are a tough team, man, and the way that Monty Ossenfort has built this team, they are a really good competitive team. It's just unfortunate they're in the NFC West. And it's just going to be hard to kind of come out of that spot, which they've kind of traditionally been that fourth team in the division and could still end the season as the fourth team, maybe being a 7, 8, 9 win team just based on how this division is stacked. And going back to the 49ers, their strength of schedule is amongst the weakest in the league. And they're winning games, like Pete said, without their stars. So you hope that when these stars are back, this offense really takes off. But the cool thing about this team and the way it's constructed is now we're seeing guys like Ricky Pearsall grow up right before our eyes, step into it. We laugh and we joke about Mac Jones, but then Mac is stepping in, playing in an offense that's tailored to what he does best, and they're still winning games no matter who's in there.
Unfortunately, as we keep the injury conversation going, we're just getting some reports in about James Conner. The running back was carted off today. Looks like it's going to be a season-ending ankle injury that is going to require surgery. I mean, Damien, when you talk about a guy who just can't catch a break, it feels like he just gets going, and then something like this happens.
And it's unfortunate because if he could stay healthy, I think he would be one of the best running backs in the league. I mean, he's tough, he's gritty, he's got every tool in the toolbox as a runner. He can receive the ball out of the backfield. He's a three-down back. But when you look at his story and his injury history, going all the way back to his cancer diagnosis, I mean, it's so unfortunate because sometimes good things happen to bad people, but all we can do is just pray and hope.
Bad things happen to good people.
Oh, yeah, excuse me. Bad things happen to good people. Excuse me. Flip. Yeah. Flip. It's been a long day, Haley. You know it's been a long day. It's been a long day.
That's why I'm here. I'm here to help you out.
Yeah. Bad things happen to good people. So, let's just pray for James Conner because we know he's a good dude. We know he's fought through a lot of adversity. I wouldn't expect this to be any different, but we're all going to hang our heads in sadness because this is a special player. He's unfortunately riddled with some bad circumstances.
But you're right. Good things do happen to bad people because I had a good week picking games. So there you go.
That's what I was going to say. Listen, I wasn't wrong. I was just wrong in context. That's all.
Good point, though. Obviously, we want to keep our thoughts there with James Conner. It is interesting in that division. I do want to quickly talk about the Steelers, guys, before we go to break here. Aaron Rodgers had a tough week, but he bounces back. It was against the Patriots, but some history there for Aaron Rodgers. Passes Brett Favre for fourth most touchdowns in NFL history, Pete.
I can tell you with 100% certainty that he's enjoying every bit of moving past Brett Favre. Early in his career, and they've kind of mended their relationship, but early in his career, Favre didn't treat him very well. So I guarantee you when he hits that pillow tonight, he's going to sit there and say, "Damn right I passed you, old man. Damn right."
Can we put the graphic up real quick? I want to ask you guys if you think that Aaron Rodgers can catch any of these other guys, and I wasn't quick enough to see the numbers. So Peyton Manning there at 539, Drew Brees at 571. Tom Brady seems lofty, but do you see him catching either of those?
He's not catching any of those guys. He's not throwing 29 more touchdown passes.
He's going to have to play a whole nother year.
He said he's going to retire after this year, probably.
I don't see it happening. But
So we're going to keep him at 4.
That ain't a bad spot to be.
All right. I want to talk about the defense really quick, though, for the Steelers, though, guys. Fewest points allowed, fewest yards allowed in the game this year. What did you think about the defensive effort?
Well, they did good, but I'm going to be honest, and Pete might call me a Patriots homer because I'm switching lanes here, but the offensive execution for the New England Patriots was absolutely abysmal.
You're right.
You fumble going into the end zone. You have 4 fumbles between 3 between the running backs, 1 with Drake May, interception. I mean, even late in the game, whenever Drake May completed the pass to Pop Douglas at the end of the game, he was short of the first down by 1 yard. If he had just turned up the field, he would have easily got it, but instead he's trying to make people miss. That's not what Josh McDaniels coaches on the offensive side of the football. I know that because I played in it. So, yeah, the Steelers look good on defense, but I can't give them all the credit in the world because the Patriots, they just shot themselves in the foot. I mean, when you talk about you can't win until you keep from losing, that's penalties, that's turnovers, that's getting behind in the down and distance, that's not being able to run the football, and that's exactly what we saw from this New England Patriots team. So good for the Steelers, disappointing for the Patriots offense.
Hey, hold that thought real quick because we got to get to Pete's chopping block after the break, and I have a feeling that a lot of this conversation is going to fit right in with where we were going. There's our man. We had Damien in a Cowboys hat. You get Pete Prisco in his
I can't cook at all, by the way, and Damien's like a master chef.
Damien is a good chef. He makes
I just want to get in the promo shot. I don't even need to say
We're going to get Rand promo.
Ran who?
Nobody.
We got Barry Manilow over here. Come
More
on,
game
get
day
him in the
recap
game.
when you come back to CBS Sports HQ. Welcome back to Game Day Recap. Time for one of our favorite conversations. It is time for Chef Pete Prisco's Chopping Block, where we pick one player, we present it to our GM, and we decide what the rest of their career is going to look like this year. We've got Damien Harris, Carthon and Pete Prisco. And before the break, we were talking a lot about the Patriots and some ball security issues that they had. And so, Pete, our assistant to the GM, I pass it over to you. Who are we chopping this week?
In the fine words of one Tom Coughlin back in the day, the Patriots have a player who has callous disregard for the football, and that player would be Ramondre Stevenson. 7 fumbles last year, led the league in 2024, fumbled twice today, once on the goal line going in. You can't play if you can't hold on to the football. And so I think, Rand, I'm bringing you, since I'm the assistant director of player personnel,
Oh,
or
you're the
assistant director, or assistant general manager is what I want.
Hold on. Wait. Before we turn this over to Rand, I do want to back you, Pete, because everything that you just said was true. But I think what's most important to remember about this, right? The NFL is a business. Am I correct when I say that? Mm-hmm. You cannot get paid an extension for $36 million, and then the season immediately following that, like to your point, 7 fumbles, you led the league. Then you start the season this year with the back of that in your mind, and you go out and you fumble again. So in his since he signed his contract extension, 7 touchdowns and 9 fumbles. And I'll give you another quote, because that one that you just gave from Tom Coughlin, great. I'm gonna give you another one. It's from Bill Belichick, who himself called Mondre franchise because he is a phenomenal player when he holds onto the football. Ball security is job security in the National Football League. So with everything going on, it's not a good look. Now we turn it over to our GM.
I mean, shoot, Rand, you've got your assistant to the GM. I mean, like, Dame Spone is agreeing with him. We're turning up
Did
here.
they get rid of you for Ramondre?
Did they? Yeah, no, absolutely.
This is personal.
No, whoa. No. This is, hold on. This is where hold on. Wait. No, I gotta stand up for this one. This is what we're not gonna do. Because this is the hard part about our jobs. Mondre is a great friend of mine. I talked to Mondre as soon as last week. I talked to him about the performance that they had. They won on the road. They beat Miami for the first time. We talked about it. We talked about knowing the recipe for success, because we've had success. We shared success in New England. By no means is this personal, and it breaks my heart to say this, because not only is he a great football player, not only is he special when he holds onto the football, he's a great dude. And I know how much it means to him. I know how unfortunate the circumstance is for him. I know he doesn't want to play like this. But I cannot sit down and let Pete Prisco talk about this as personal. Because I am honest.
I'm kidding.
He took my job.
Hey,
I'm kidding.
right?
But he deserved it.
We're good.
No,
I'm cooking over
I'm
here.
kidding.
Haley, do we have the fan?
By the way,
Hold on, wait. If y'all look, hold on, wait. If y'all look, I got no sweat. Wait. I got no sweat. I got no pit stain. I'm good.
and by the way, during that, when you were getting up, he fumbled his
Yeah,
mic
he
pack.
did.
over
Yeah,
there.
that's
So
okay.
it's going on.
Because I'm just trying to get out of the way in case some blows, because the way my insurance is set up.
So we presented you with
Yes.
we presented
This
you
is
with the data.
a first here on Game Day Recap. You have 2 people advocating for this cut, Rand.
So here's what I'll tell you, fellas. I hear you.
I wouldn't cut him, by the way. I'm just
Listen,
gonna say.
and that's what I'm going to say. I hear you. But to your point that this is a business, right? And based off of the contract extension that we gave him, if we were to cut him right now, there would be, give or take, a $12 million dead cap hit that we cannot afford to take. Now, we have a ton of money as New England Patriots in our cap, but you're still not in the business of taking a $12-ish million cap hit. So with that said, myself, Coach Vrabes, we're going to bring him in and talk to him about what we expect in terms of a ball security standpoint and element, and let him know that moving forward, we're going to get the young buck ready to play some ball, because we can't keep putting a player on the field that's going to keep putting us in harm's way of losing football games.
Well, I'll tell you this, Rand. You're a lot nicer GMs than what they have in New England, because it just I can tell you the unfortunate reality, that's not the way that it's looked at. And I can tell you any conversations that should or need to be had about the fumbling issue, those happened last year. And granted, it wasn't Mike Vrabel's team. It wasn't Josh McDaniels as the OC. It was Ramondre Stevenson. And they've already had those conversations. He's already addressed it.
So what's the solution then?
If you don't want to cut him, you might have to trade him.
Yeah.
But
that's the same thing.
But it's still who's going to take on this contract,
Right.
which means now for us to get a higher draft pick, we're going to have to pay down some of this. And even with that said, what are we going to get from him? What are we going to get, a 5th round pick, 6th round pick?
Well,
I'm not paying down $5 or $6 million to get a 5th round pick.
Okay, so and this isn't me asking in a combative way. This is us meeting. This is a meeting of the minds, essentially. Meeting of the minds. So you don't want to cut him because you don't want to take on that cap hit. You don't want to trade him because there's probably not many teams that are going to. They're not going to absorb that contract. You don't want to make him a healthy scratch because you're paying him all this money. But what do? You do what I said. You pull him in?
No, we have the conversation. However, we get Travion Henderson ready. Mike Vrabel came out after week 1 and said we have to find more ways of getting the ball in Travion's hands because he can bring that explosive element to our offense. So now moving forward, we know that we're going to get this young boy ready to play some football and let Ramondre know that this is a direct reflection of how you've played and how you've put the ball in harm's way.
Tiki Barber was a fumbler, remember?
Yeah.
And then They fixed it somehow, some way. Coughlin had something to do with that when he went there. He fixed it. Well, the Patriots have to figure out a way to fix that fumble because he's too valuable a player not to be on the field.
That's what I think this all is going to boil down to. They just have to find a way to fix it. And Rand, you might be right. It may just take a conversation. I don't know if it's going to take an hour or two after practice of just making him carry 2 footballs around. I mean, I don't know what it's going to take.
Sleep with the damn thing.
Well, you know, and it's ironic because I remember when I played in New England, and it was the first game of year 3 for me. We played Miami. We were down by maybe 2 or 3 points. We were in field goal range. We were just trying to bleed out the clock, kick a field goal, and I fumbled. Lost us the game. We never got the ball back. Everywhere I went, I had a football with me.
Right.
Meetings, in the training room,
Was
home.
that by your own doing?
Self-accountability.
Okay.
It was self-accountability.
Did it help?
I mean, it did.
Then you should call him and tell him to do that. Set him up for that.
You know,
Trying to stay in his lane.
Yeah, that's it. You know,
I feel you. No, I feel you. I feel
Sometimes you got to stay in your lane, and you know, I wouldn't be telling Ramondre anything that he doesn't already know, and something that he hasn't already come out and said in the media. So it's just between him and the New England Patriots to fix it. Because Pete, you made a great point. He's too valuable.
Right.
We've seen what Ramondre Stevenson can be when he holds on to the football. That's really the only knock on his game right now. He's a big bruising running back with a smoothness, ability to move defenders out of his way that most people don't have at that size. He's very valuable, but not if you can't hold on to the football.
If he comes to the house, just have plastic cups because you don't want him dropping the glasses anywhere.
Next week. On that note, I want to give you a quick peek at the score of Sunday Night Football. It is currently 6-6. The Chiefs have 2 field goals. The Giants have a Cam Scatterboot touchdown. I will mention they missed the PAT. Their kicker, Graham Gano, had a groin injury pregame. So the punter, Jamie Gilligan, is kicking, and so they missed the PAT.
Good luck with that.
Plenty more game day recap. We've gone off the rails, guys. We'll wrap up the show when you come back. Plenty to talk about, winners and losers. The Colts were fantastic. We're going to get Rand a photo. We're going to make sure Damien is all right, and come on back to game day recap. Let's wrap this thing up talking winners and losers. There were certainly some impressive performances, some not so impressive. So let's see what our experts are feeling when it comes to who won Sunday and who lost Sunday, Week 3 edition. We're going to go rapid fire. Pete, who is your winner?
Kevin Carberry. You might not know who he is. He's the run game coordinator and offensive line coach for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Sure, they had a lot of holding penalties, but you know what? They didn't have one guy start in the position where he was supposed to start before the season. They had 2 backup guards, one making his first NFL start, one making his third, and they still found a way to get 350 yards of total offense. So I give kudos to him for making it sort of work, even though they had a lot of holding penalties.
I'm rolling with big man Jordan Davis. He had 5 tackles, had a sack, had a TFL, and had the field goal block, scoop and score. And you said it earlier, became the heaviest player in NFL history.
We love a big man
to score a touchdown. So to you, big fella, I give you a belly rub.
Yeah, he deserves it. I'm going Isaiah Rodgers, DB for the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, you want to talk about having a day on the defensive side of the ball. Pick 6, fumble recovery for a touchdown, and another forced fumble. I mean, this is a way to step on the scene, make a case for being one of the best defenders, one of the best ball taker awayers in the National Football League. And there's nothing more important on defense than getting the ball away from the offense. Kudos to you, young man, for going all up in Jake Browning's crib and taking everything he had.
Everything. Jake Browning's got nothing.
I don't know where that was going. I was like,
I was a little nervous. I'm going Daniel Jones as my winner this week, you guys. First 3-0 start for him in his career. He's got everyone think differently about how the Colts are playing. So give me Daniel Jones. Give him some love there. Let's move over to losers. No surprise, I'm taking the Falcons because if you can't put up any points against the Panthers, you got some problems. So my loser this week is the Falcons. Damien, what about you?
My loser for the day is going to be Joe Alt, left tackle for the LA Chargers, and he gave up 2 sacks, another pressure, and listen, you've got to protect Justin Herbert. He is the prized possession of this organization, and without Rashawn Slater being there, you have to be firm protecting Justin Herbert. Did not do that today, didn't look very good in his pass sets, so you're going to need a lot of improvement from him, but he's definitely my loser of the day.
And I'm going to go with New Orleans Saints. That may be low-hanging fruit, and here, I don't think anyone expected them to go on the road and beat. This is Pete Prisco.
I was like, is he measuring himself over there?
We're going low. We're going Kyler Murray low.
Got 40 seconds.
I don't think anyone expected him to go on the road and beat Seattle, but to give up 38 points in the first half, that to me screams a losing effort.
And I'm going with the Green Bay Packers. Their offensive line, sacked 5 times Jordan Love. This is a line. They went out and spent money on the left guard, Aaron Banks. They moved guys around. They've paid Zach Tom. If you can't protect Jordan Love, you're going to have problems all season long.
All right, Pete Prisco taking the Packers as his Week 3 loser. We got to hit one more break here on Game Day Recap, but we'll come right back to wrap up the show. Stay with us. All right, that's all the time we have here on Game Day Recap. Before we go, though, Ran, I know that you are maybe just a little salty that you're not on our promo. So I brought my digital camera. So as we go to break, say cheese, and we're gonna get you on this promo, my friend. 3, 2, 1. There he is. So we're going to get Ran on the promo
You're
finally.
not Ran who anymore?
Until we get there. Thanks so much for joining us here on Game Day Recap. I've got the photo of Ran. We're going to...
Ran who? You guys were great.
Who are you? We don't hear you. We don't see you. We don't hear you.
You guys were awesome. By yourself.
See you next week on Game Day Recap.